So, okay, so we're here with Jihan, and today we're nearing the end of the year, so it's December 30th or 29th? 29th. And today is Jihan's last appointment with Dad. So I wanted just to take a little time to, first of all, thank Jihan because you have truly been a blessing for Dad. And I'm gonna get emotional just because, it's like magic almost what you did. And it takes someone who cares to help somebody else. And I think that this is really like, I didn't anticipate me getting emotional, but thank you because you guys do so much, just all the healthcare people and your work, you do it from the heart. So so thank you. Yeah, so just to ask you, how do you see Dad now that when you started first?
Well, so first I want to say, we do put in hard work, but it also takes the patient that we're seeing and the family to also put in the work to see the progress that's made. So Alberto has put in a lot of hard work himself, and that makes my job easier. And he has such a strong, supportive family that it has helped along the way. So all those pieces really come together. I'm kind of here to kind of direct things, but it really takes, like I said, the family and the patient to do the work. So. But from the beginning, so we started in August, and I think back then it was very difficult for Alberto to communicate basic wants and needs, had trouble naming things. I think back then he was about 20 to 50% accurate with naming common objects, and really speaking in single words, and has come a long way. Is able now to blow all of that stuff out of the water. I mean, naming objects, sentence completion, all our structured therapy tasks as we call it. But the important thing is the functional part, and now I think goes to the grocery store and has conversations with people and can order at a restaurant, and I come in and we have conversations, and he's able to tell me about his day and communicate with his family. And I think that's really what the progress that he's made. That's really what I'm happy about. That's at the end of the day what we look for, what we want.
That is so good because you know what, for us when it happened, like you don't realize what a stroke means in a family's life. It's not just the person that it happens to, but it's the extended family, the family, and it's almost like a life dims, and that person, whoever they are, depending on what's affected in their lives. My dad had the speech aphasia, and then he had something different.
Apraxia, yeah.
Which is...
So the apraxia was he not only had difficulty producing the language that he wanted, but when he did, sometimes the articulation didn't come out correctly, so he wouldn't articulate the words correctly. Okay. And so that was the apraxia. It was a motor planning. So,
for us, like when coming from not ever having any situation or any exposure to any of this, for me as his oldest daughter, looking at my dad and saying, his memory, did he lose everything that he knew? How come he can't remember? Is it that, it's hard to understand what goes on in the brain. Yeah. And until one of the nurses came and she says, he's trying to figure out the words because he has lost that pattern. Yeah. So his brain is trying to create new patterns and new pathways. So that's why it was so important to be able to practice and all. And, you just made it, I think you just facilitated it. And it really brings a lot of hope. And I think for other families who might go through this, it's challenging for everyone. But I think understanding maybe from a place of just how we care for our kids when they're really young and teach them how to walk and teach them how to speak. And we get so happy when they make little changes. Yeah. That's what we need to do to help our family members, no matter what age they are, no matter who they are, because it's the brain and the brain will work, but you got to give it the tools and the love. Exactly. I think that's the biggest thing. So you gave us a lot of hope. And the changes there. So Dad, tell Jihan something.
Jihan, thank you for everything you do for me.
Oh, you are very welcome.
A wonderful person.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. It's been such a pleasure to come work with you and your family.
So what do you have to say, Dad, about your book that we're going to finally roll out?
Read my book.
Read your book. I will definitely read it. I'm excited to read it.
30s, 1920s, and the 41,
Okay.
46.
1930s and 1946.
No,
And after.
later. And this first book
Mm-hmm.
is from 1903
Mm-hmm.
and 30s.
Okay.
And he actually did the second book first, and now he finished the first book.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of really crazy, but it's such a fun book, and it's just fun watching these stories and hearing the stories and seeing them, and it involves the U.S. It involves what was going on in Europe during like the First World War, and then the Holocaust, and then South America, and just the way people related and the way people took each other into account and the way people cared for one another. So I think for our times in COVID, it allows us to see again how we all matter and how we're all part of that, the greater specter of life. And I think appreciating each other for what each person brings is what's really, I think, the book highlights. So, Jihan,
That's
thank you so
awesome.
much.
Yeah.
The first book, 19